Okay, TJ Dagger here. In the last little video we did, we made our menus, and we talked about making our menus more complicated. Well, as a stepping stone to that, I think we should make a capture flag type scenario where we look at the mechanisms for capturing a flag, so that we can use that flag being captured to determine what vehicles, etc., are going to be available in our menus. So capture a flag and get some vehicles as a reward. So we're going to focus on making those flags in this video. Okay, so we're going to start by creating a couple zones. So we'll create circles here. So just click on New Circle. We'll call it, I'm going to call it Flag Inner 1. I'm going to put it there, and it's got a radius of 8. That sounds pretty good. We'll leave that. And I'll create another one, which will be Flag Outer 1. And we'll make that one slightly bigger. We'll go 12. Now the theory here we're going with is that basically when one of our guys enters into the middle flag, the middle zone, we want the flag to start being captured, and we want to check that in the outer zone there are no enemies. So basically get in close to the flag, make sure there's no enemies around, and that's the way to capture it. And we're gonna make it so the enemy can recapture it as well. So we'll want some scripts here, so we'll start with flags. And I will call that we've got flag 1, and we will want to go player capture. Okay, so I've actually created a category within a category with the way I've written that. Okay, so some conditions. So let's start with entities. So what we want to do is we want to say that when one of player O, which is the player of course, when player O enters into the zone, so that's our first condition, into the inner zone. So it's the inner zone for the, this is just on standard, we can do this one. We're looking for player O, and we want someone who's not dead, preferably. So we could untick that, which is ignore captured by user, so anyone who's a user, and that's, I believe that comes more into play with multiplayer, with co-op. Yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that one. But okay, so what we're saying is, if as our condition, anyone in the inner zone whose player O is greater than 0. So that's the first bit. Now we're going to want some actual flags in there to work with, so we're going to have to put some props on the map here. Where do the flags live? Here we go, flag points. Must be other flags. I like just the basic skirmish flags. That's a pointer. Here we go. There we go, a basic flag. Let's look at the text mods. Let's make that blue. Blue and red I like. Good guys, bad guys. So we need 2 flags. I'm going to use 1 blue, 1 red, but of course, you know, you can choose anything you want. You can easily put the right flags on there if that's what you wish. I'm going to keep this generic. So I'm going to give my flags some tags. So first up, I'm going to select both. Control T to bring that up, and they're both going to be hidden. I'm going to add that. Unexpected. I'm also going to call them flag 1. We might have more than one flag on this map. Okay, now I want to give them individual tags. So I'm selecting the blue one there, and I'm going to go flag underscore blue 1, which I didn't even type in. You've got to make sure you're selected. Add that, and here I'm going to go flag red 1 and add that. Okay, so back to our trigger. So we've got what's going to happen when the player goes in. Well, we're going to want the red flag, which will be there to begin with, to go down. So this comes under, there's a function here somewhere. The hell are you? Here we go, the RT function. Right. So who are we talking about straight up? We're talking about, alright, it's going to be flag red 1, and we're going to call, it's called any play, and we want it to go down, and that's pretty, we can adjust the speed there, so I believe 2 would be 2 times, 3 times fast, 0.5 half the normal speed, that sort of thing. Okay, so let's see what we can do. We're going to take that hidden tag off briefly. Oop. There we go. Press start. I'm going to bring in trooper guys here just to test this. Failed. I know what's wrong. Our flags are assigned to player O. Let's go in here, change those units. From event end to event start. And there they go.
Got it, sir.
So that's half the battle. Okay, so the reason our flag failed the first time was because in our trigger we specify player O inside the circle, and our flags were set already at player O, so I changed them to player 2 which at the moment belongs to nobody else. So we're not referencing player 2 at all here. So by changing them, it didn't trigger it from the start. So back to our trigger. I know from experience that flag takes approximately 10 seconds to go to the bottom, so I'm going to add a delay in there of 10 seconds. And then what we're going to want to happen is we're going to want the red flag to completely disappear, and then we're going to unhide the blue flag and have it go up. So it'll look like the red flag goes down and then the blue flag goes up. So we want to get a entity state. Okay, entity state, we're going to be talking about the red flag. So this is red flag 1 or flag 1, whatever it says there. And we're going to add the tag hidden, and we also have to make the inactive on. Yes, inactive on. Okay, so that'll basically hide the red flag. And then we're going to copy that because we're going to do another entity state, and this time we're going to get the blue flag, and we're going to just going to copy that, paste it there. So, and we're going to turn the inactive off. So we're going to remove the tag hidden and the inactive off. Then we're going to have our our RT function here following, which will make the blue flag go up, so the opposite. Right, let's just give that a test and see how that works out. So there it goes. And the blue flag, and it's going up. So we've got our flag capture happening, but we could make it a little bit more complicated than that. We could make it so that when it gets to the end of the first 10 seconds, when the red flag goes down, we could then check to see if there's any enemy has made their way into the outer region, and then we could make it decide, well, if there is enemy inside, send the red flag back up. If there's no enemy inside, we'll send we'll bring the blue flag in. So we can look at that. We're going to introduce something new, which is we're going to add a switch, which is a generic. So what a switch does, a switch allows you to state some cases. As I understand it, if you put 7 cases in there, the first one that's true that it comes across, it'll do that one, and won't look at the rest. So for what we're going to have 2 cases, two scenarios. So we're going to add a case. So just right clicking on there, add a case. A case is like an if statement. So for this we're going to look at entities, and we're going to look at the outer zone, and we're going to look to see if there are any player ones who happen to be not dead. So if there's more than one in there, we're going to do something, and what we're going to do is, so we're looking at well, this is saying if it's greater than 0. Okay, so let's look at if it's greater than 0 first. So in other words, if there is someone in there, an enemy, then we'll add inside there, and it will be our RT function, and it'll be, so if there's enemy in, we're going to send the red flag back to the top, which will be the AnyPlay, and it'll be up, and so yeah, that's good. So it'll be, we'll just copy that. So this time we'll look at if it does equal 0. So this time if the flag out of 1, player O, which is the enemy, if none of them are dead, so if there's 0 in there that aren't dead, okay, so no enemies, then we'll send the blue flag up. Up, yep. Okay, but we also, in order to send it up, we've first got to, these are going to become obsolete in here, we're going to delete these, but we're going to have to add inside here an entity state where we delete the red flag again and include the blue. So the red flag, we will add the tag hidden, inactive on, that's confusing, and this will be the blue flag, inactive will be off, and we'll be removing the tag hidden. Now of course we have to bring our RT function down because we can't send a flag to the top until it's spawned in. So we can turn these off for now, keep them there for now because we know they work, and start that and make sure it still works as expected. Right. We'll finish that. So what we need to do now is we need to quickly test it with enemy in it. So we've got our reinforcements coming up here. So first we'll move our zones. About there. Yep. Then we'll move our flags this time. Alright, try and put it in the center here. Let's put that on there. That'll make it easy for now. Line everything up. Now we will do a test. So what we are hoping to see is the enemy run into the base, get there, and then if we go in there we should have to drive them all out before it'll start capturing the flag.
Yes, sir.
Just for testing, we're going to select these guys. I'm going to make them impregnability here in their properties box. We'll put that on full. Basically means
Got it, sir.
these guys can't die, they're invulnerable, and they can still
Yes,
be
sir.
so if we make our way, boys, all the way in, red flag raise up instead of the blue one. And there it is happening. So we didn't get to capture the flag. So while we think of it, what we also need to do is, if we'd have run back into that zone, nothing would have happened, because we haven't got our all-important trigger resetting function at the bottom. So let's reset our player capture, and that's the one. Okay, we'll save that. Now what we need is, what we've got there is we've got a player capture, but we want an enemy capture as well. So let's look at setting that up now. Basically, we're just going to copy our player capture. Copy that. We're going to call it enemy capture. Nice and creative with our naming. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to look in here and we're going to change basically the details. So we're looking here, we're player 1 because that's the enemy inside, and because enemy are a bit stupid and stuff, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt and give them the outer flag. So they only need to be in the outer flag to start capturing it. And here we go. That's gonna stay the same. Or is it? Yes. And then in here we're going to talk about whether or not player O is nearby. In both our cases, we're going to be looking at player O. Right, so it's going to be the opposite flags all the way through, isn't it? Okay, so we're going to, wherever it says red flag, we're going to make it blue flag, and wherever it was blue flag, we'll make it red. So it'll be blue. That one's red, has to be blue. This one's blue, so we change it to red. And here we are. And of course our retrigger reset. Okay, let's see how we went with that. I'll save that. Here's something else we're going to have to do. Basically, at the moment there's nothing to determine which flags there to begin with. For example, there's no point having the red flag there to begin with and then the enemy rush in and start triggering a flag capture. So we've got to come up with a way to distinguish an extra condition basically that's going to know whether or not the blue flag's out or the red flag's out. So we're going to introduce something else again, and there are a number of ways I could do this. I could simply add an event which says, you know, when we capture the flag, there's an event called whatever. We could look at that, or what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a variable. Okay, I'm going to go into F9 into our mission properties again, and in under vars. Vars are for variables. I'm going to add a variable. I'm going to call it flag1 as a variable. Now I'm going to set a condition here for when the player captures it, and I'm going to say, where are we? This plus CMP underscore I, that's what we use to check variable settings. So basically our function's going to work. Our condition here is going to be, it's going to work if the variable, which is flag1, is equal to 0. That's what I'm going to add there. And on the enemy capture one, I'm going to put in the same variable, and I'm going to say if it equals 1. So the flag capture, I'm going to say if it equals 0, and this one will be if it equals 1. So in order for that variable to work the way I want it to, I have to actually set it at the beginning of the mission. So I'm going to create another little trigger here, which I'm going to call startup as a category, and then I'm going to go vars for variables. And I'm going to put no conditions here. So this is basically going to fire as soon as start's pressed or the mission loads, it's going to fire. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get it's under generic, and it's the set I. I'm going to get my flag 1, and I'm going to say that it equals 0. So at the beginning of the mission, we've already got the red flag visible, which means that the player is going to come along, and if he's inside that zone and the flag equals 0, then it's going to start the capture sequence. Now down here where I swap flags over, I'm going to add in there another case. I'm going to add inside, and I'm going to use the set, and I'm going to make flag 1 equal 1 inside there. So that means if they manage to catch the flag, they're going to set the value to 1. Now in the enemy capture, that's going to mean it's available for them to now capture. So if they manage to steal it down in here, I'm going to add in another one of these sets, and in there I'm going to take that variable, I'm going to make it equal 0 again. Now I could have done something similar with events and resetting events. The reason I've gone with a variable is because an event is either on or it's off. Whereas with a variable, I can have on off 0 1, which we've done, or I can have 0 1 2. I could have a third condition where perhaps say we capture the flag, the enemy does a counter attack, we still have the flag at the end of that counter attack, flag now equals 2, and then it might disappear that both flags completely, and that's the area secure. It might even open up another area of the map, anything like that. I've got more options just off that one variable, and I can have variables like that for every flag I put down. I can have flag 2, flag 3, flag 4, whatever. So we've gone through and made those changes. Let's give it a test, and let's see whether it's done what we hope it does. So we will start by letting the enemy get up there, make our guys invulnerable so we can really test this.
Yes, sir.
Okay, let's lure them in there.
Got it, sir.
They should be inside that zone, I imagine. A couple of them. Okay. So that is expected. There are enemy in there still. Stop running away, boys. Come back. So this time we'll run in, shoot everybody up, see if the flag goes blue. If it does, we'll know it's blue. In there. Yes, there's one man. He's preventing it.
Always ready.
Shoot him. There we go, we're now capturing it. There we go. It's a basic flag capture. Another value of having the variable is we could put a condition on some of the enemy reinforcements that say they only put those enemies out if they don't have the flag. So if the flag equals 0, then particular enemy don't come. Later on we could say, right, okay, if the flag's been captured and a counter-attack's taken and the flag now equals 2, then when that value equals 2, we could have another type of enemy enter. There's so many ways we can incorporate that one variable into having other things affected. Anyway, we'll look at tying this and other stuff into our menu and in the next video, I guess. Cheers.